What if I told you that the world's first skyscrapers weren't built in New York or Chicago, but in the middle of a desert? These towering structures have stood for centuries, defying floods, storms, and wars, all while telling an unbelievable story of human ingenuity. Stick around to discover why Shibam's ancient skyscrapers might just be the most resilient buildings ever built, and how they could disappear forever if we don't act soon. Shibam, the pride of Yemen, is one of the world's oldest cities featuring high-rise architecture. A magnificent example of human adaptability to harsh conditions, it has earned the nickname Manhattan of the Desert. Today you'll learn why people started building skyscrapers centuries ago, the materials they used, how life in these unique buildings unfolded, and the threats these remarkable structures face today. The fortress city of Shibam is located on the edge of the desert, in the valley of the now dry Hadramaut River. Such places are called wadi in Arabic. Dry river valleys like these are also common in North Africa, Asia, and Australia. These valleys fill with water only during periods of heavy rainfall and can stretch for hundreds of miles. Wadi Hadramaut is the largest seasonal waterway and the most fertile valley not only in Yemen, but across the Arabian Peninsula. Shibam itself is situated on a small hill, which protects it from flooding most of the time. However, history recalls several occasions when floods ravaged the town, though flooding wasn't the primary reason for building skyscrapers. The first settlement in what is now Shibam is believed to date back to pre-Christian times. However, the earliest direct references to the city itself come from the 3rd or 4th century CE. Location was initially chosen for its fertile lands, a rarity in such a desert region. Over time, Shibam even served as the capital of the ancient Hadramaut Kingdom, an Arab state in eastern Yemen. Shibam's strategic location made it a major stop along caravan routes for the spice and incense trade that traversed the South Arabian plateau. This prosperity, however, attracted the attention of raiding nomads, who frequently attacked the city. The city's limited land area and the necessity of vertical construction were driven by several factors. Firstly, the small hill on which Shibam stands provided safety from floods. Secondly, residents believed that the more compact the settlement, the easier it was to defend. This led to the construction of tall, multi-story buildings. Additionally, some buildings were connected by small bridges, a practical feature for safety during raids. These allowed residents to move between houses without descending to the ground. Together, these buildings formed an effective defensive system. Around the 16th century, the city was enclosed by fortress walls. As the population grew and land remained limited, Shibam expanded vertically. People avoided building outside the walls, further enhancing the city's reputation as a pioneer of urban vertical planning. If you look at a map of ancient Shibam today, you'll notice newer settlements opposite the city. These newer areas lack Shibam's towering buildings and protective walls. Currently, Shibam is home to about 7,000 people and consists of around 500 high-rise buildings. These structures, built close together, form a labyrinth of narrow streets, some of which are only about 2 meters wide. The towering mud brick buildings, which gave Shibam its nickname, are made from sun-dried bricks composed of clay and straw. The bricks are coated with layers of the same clay mixture, sometimes with lime added for color. Wooden beams are embedded in the walls to strengthen the structures, and wooden planks are used for floors. Windows and doors are typically wooden, while the walls narrow toward the top to reduce the load on the lower floors. This design ensures that rooms don't appear distorted, as the builders use the interior walls as their primary reference. The buildings feature flat roofs with parapets, creating usable terraces. To protect the roofs from water damage, they were coated with a mixture of lime, wood ash, and sand. Proper maintenance and favorable weather, these buildings can last for centuries. Because Shibam has been continuously inhabited for nearly 2 millennia, it has been rebuilt and restored numerous times after natural disasters. The city's oldest surviving residential buildings date back to the 16th century, with most constructed later. Among the oldest preserved structures is a mosque built in the 9th or 10th century, notable for being the only ancient building made of fired bricks. The average height of Shibam's buildings is 20-25 meters, 65 to 82 feet, with 5-7 floors. Tallest structures reach 11 stories and over 30 meters, 100 feet, making them the tallest mud brick buildings in the world and the first ever high-rise residential buildings. For comparison, the Home Insurance Building in Chicago, completed in 1885 and considered the first modern skyscraper, originally had 10 floors and a height of 42 meters, 138 feet. Some of Shibam's skyscrapers existed long before Chicago was even founded. Of course, these ancient skyscrapers lack elevators. Typically, the first and second floors of Shibam's buildings were used as storage areas or livestock stalls. During Bedouin raids, residents would bring their animals indoors. The third and fourth floors were reserved for men, while women and children occupied the fifth and sixth floors, where the kitchens and other household spaces were located. As families grew, additional floors were often added, allowing the buildings to grow even taller. Depending on the size of a building, it could house one or several families, with each floor sometimes serving as a separate residence. From a distance, the city appears to consist of large, wide buildings. Upon closer inspection, however, you'll notice that some are narrow towers packed tightly together and sharing a common facade. Despite the desert's extreme heat, the clay buildings provide natural insulation, keeping the interiors relatively cool. On hot days, the city seems almost deserted as residents stay indoors. Wandering through Shibam's narrow streets, you might feel like you've stepped into an abandoned ancient city, with only the dangling wires, satellite dishes, and air conditioners reminding you it's the 21st century. The unique architecture of Shibam creates an atmosphere unmatched by modern cities. However, maintaining these extraordinary buildings is a constant challenge. Walls need regular recoating with clay, and roofs require frequent repairs. Rain, though rare in this arid climate, can cause devastating damage. In 2008, a tropical storm caused severe flooding that damaged the foundations of many buildings, leading to their collapse. 12 years later, heavy rain once again wreaked havoc, seriously damaging around 90 homes. This forced local residents and officials to appeal for international assistance. Today, Shibam remains a poor city, with its economy largely dependent on agriculture. Farmers cultivate crops in the fertile floodplains surrounding the city, but they constantly risk losing their harvests to sudden floods. Ironically, these seasonal floods are also what make the region fertile. In 1982, Shibam was added to UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites. While the city is protected by the Yemeni government, its survival is far from guaranteed. As mentioned earlier, natural disasters periodically take their toll, but human factors also threaten the city's future. Since 2014, Yemen has been engulfed in a civil war between Houthi rebels and the government, causing a humanitarian crisis that has deeply affected Shibam. Residents now lack the resources to maintain their fragile buildings, many of which have developed cracks and facade damage. Still, efforts to preserve Shibam continue, as its cultural and historical significance extends beyond Yemen to the entire world. Shibam, the oldest high-rise city on Earth, is not only a treasure of Yemen but a legacy for humanity.